What's up, guys? It's been a minute since I made like a real video, I know. So I was moving around from state to state. I went from Texas to Florida. I was supposed to join the military. That any of you that have actually been following me, I know there's like 100 of you maybe. But those of you that do, I really appreciate it. And the reason I haven't been posting consistently is I was going through, we'll just call it a life crisis, but I can't even classify it as a midlife crisis because I'm only in my 20s. But yeah, I had to get a fresh start. Me and my wife decided to move to Florida, and here we are. But the reason you clicked on this video is you're interested to know more about the 2019 YZ250F. So let me tell you a little bit about it. I've had two of them now. The first one I got back in 2018. I think I had it for about half of the year, all the way through March of 19 or so, somewhere around there. Yeah, that didn't go so well for me. About 18 hours into having that 19, I had problems. I had an oil seal back out behind my countershaft sprocket. Oil leaked out, rode the bike without any oil, heat seized, blew up the motor, right? That said, I rode 6 hours on a bike with no oil in it, and it didn't die or seize up or anything. That's kind of a testament to Yamaha's reliability. You see, metal on metal for 6 hours is it's impressive. The first bike I had difficulties with it, but you know, admittedly most of it was my fault. Once that one story just happened that I told you about, things kind of dominoed from there. I mean, the motor was trashed, fixed. I did a top end on it, which I had no idea what I was doing, but I'm kind of glad this all happened because I learned how to work on motors and all that stuff, and I'll be able to make some videos for you guys because of this story. So it's kind of a good thing, but it was expensive and unfortunate at the time. But yeah, I did a top end on it, put about 30 hours on it after that, and then the transmission quit, and I didn't want to do a bottom end on a bike I still owed like $7,000 on. So fixed second gear, because that was the one that was giving me a problem, and I sold it. And then right after I sold it, it had a head gasket issue. Anyways, it was a nightmare. But with all that said, it wasn't the bike's fault. It was mine. Again, that first incident caused all of the issues I had with the bike. And so yeah, I loved it. When I wasn't having all those problems, I absolutely loved it. It quickly became clear to me that I was like a 250F guy. These days I'm kind of starting to lean away from that, but at the time, like, I really fell in love with the 250F platform, and especially Yamaha. I've been pretty biased to Yamaha since then, and I guess before then too, but I really love the Yamahas, and this bike is basically the main reason that I'm a diehard Yamaha. The power on these 250Fs from 19 to 20 is absolutely exceptional. It revs to the moon compared to its predecessor. I mean, I had a 16 and a 15, and yeah, they have more bottom end. They almost feel like a small 450, but this thing, man, it just revs. It has like a hit to it almost. It's not a two-stroke, but that's the best thing I can compare it to. Is it's got like a hit in the mid-range that makes it feel kind of like a two-stroke, so it snaps. It makes it more fun to ride. I really love that. Just the way it delivers the power, and the fact that you can map the power how you like it using the Power Tuner app, which I'll show you guys some screenshots of that here in a minute. Yeah, it's great. The handling on the bike, it's a Yamaha, so I mean, it's not like world class or anything, but the suspension is so smooth, man. The only thing I would say is a negative about the handling is it requires a lot of input for the corners. Like, you gotta lean, you gotta push the bars down and really lean, versus on something like a KTM or a Husky, it kind of, I mean, obviously you're doing the same thing on all of them, but it just, on those bikes, it feels like it just does it with you. Like, it almost feels effortless. On the Yamaha, you can feel the effort. I'm going to take you through a few pros and cons. So the first pro I want to talk about, stability. Man, it's a Yamaha. Any of you that have ridden a Yamaha know what I'm talking about. That triple S is something else, man. You just hop on the thing and you feel comfortable. Like, the second 250F I had, the one I have now, is the second lap around the track. I was like, yep, feel right at home, and I was on it. Just felt like I had been riding that bike for 30, 40 hours already. I just instantly was comfortable on it. And I know some people can just jump from bike to bike, but I've never been one. Well, I can do it, you know, but not feel comfortable. But something about these Yamahas, you just feel comfortable. And you see it in all the reviews and the shootouts and stuff. They always talk about how comfortable they are, and it's true. The next pro I want to talk about is comfort. So what I mean by comfort is you don't feel so squirrely. So for like novice and vet riders, I would recommend Yamaha just for that reason. Is like it gives you more confidence faster, I think, which in turn makes you work on things that you know, if you're timid and scared of your bike, you may not commit to certain things like leaning over in your corners or the jumps, whatever. So I think for learning, you know, new riders and people who are learning that are looking for, you know, a full-size bike, it's kind of hard to beat the YZ250F. The next pro I want to talk about is the power. Man, this thing freaking revs to the moon. It's a 250F. Is it fast? No, it's not. Anybody online that's telling you it's fast, it's not fast. It's not a 450. It makes like 40 horsepower, man. I don't know what the exact stat is, 41, 42 horsepower, whatever. I'm not here to tell you all the specs. I'm sure you've seen MXA's videos. I'm trying to give you rider feedback. It's not fast. But in terms of a 250, it's fast. Especially a 4-stroke. I mean, it gets to the power quick, and you can just rev it. I mean, being a 2-stroke rider, I love it, just the way that the power is delivered. That said, you do got to shift a lot. I mean, I'm using second, third, fourth on most tracks. It's not like a 450 where you just click it in third and leave it there. You can do that, but you need to use fourth gear. Once you get, you know, like I'd say C class or above, you're going to be using fourth gear quite often, third, fourth. You need to shift. So if you're looking for a bike to be lazy on, this isn't it. You still got to ride it, which is part of why I like the 250s anyways. You got to carry your momentum, and I think smaller bikes make you a better rider. So it's a good bike to become better on. It's a good bike to train on. So another pro with the Yamaha is torque. I can't really tell you if this is a true stat or anything, but in terms of feeling, whenever I ride any other 250F, I've ridden Cowies, Suzuki's, Hondas. I haven't ridden a KTM, but I have ridden a Husky, and man, it just has a grunt for a 250F. It just feels like a small 450. Obviously not nearly as torquey, but it's got some power down there where a lot of the 250Fs you gotta wait until you're in the high revs, so you kind of gotta beat on the clutch a lot to get in the power, but you don't really need to over rev the 250F. Now you can on the 19, which is one of the reasons I really like it. It's because it does have a lot of over rev, but you don't need to. And I would say it's the only bike in the class, at least of the bikes I've ridden, where I felt that I could lug it more like a 450. So in terms of reliability, you can't beat Yamaha. You just can't. I mean, I told you guys, I put 6 hours on a motor with no oil in it, and it didn't break. It finally heat seized on me after 6 hours, but that's impressive, man. Metal on metal for 6 hours. I know there was still oil in there, like lubed on it or whatever, but come on. That's pretty crazy to me. So I also had a 2017 YZ450F, so pretty similar to what I'm on now, and I jumped it into a lake. Camp was with me. If you go back to my very first video, he's in there. Shout out, man. I jumped it right into a lake in quicksand, and yeah, it was a fucking shit show. I had to pull the thing out of the quicksand, and it was sinking, and I was underwater. I was sinking as fast as the bike was sinking, and nobody was around to see it happen, and then Camp just happened to come back looking for me and rolled up and was like, and I quote, "Well, fuck." And that's pretty much what I was thinking too. I was like, get your fucking ass in here and help me pull this out of the water. We got it out. Dude, I kicked that thing one time. It started right up. It was underwater for like 10 minutes. Crazy. Obviously, I changed the oil, but I actually rode it for the rest of the day. We were out in the trails in Texas, so yeah. That's I think why I'm biased to Yamaha is they always keep going. as long as you do your maintenance, which you really don't have to do a lot besides change the oil and the tires. If you break something, replace it, but nothing's gonna wear out on you or break. Like the KTM's, you have problems with the subframes. Suzuki, it's Suzuki. I don't need to really go into detail there. Cow uses cheap parts. You're replacing them more frequently. Sorry about that, it's my dog. Honda is the only thing I put Honda in a category of reliability with Yamaha. Honda's a great, they're good too. But if you want your bike to last, there's no question, you just got to get a Yami. So the next pro I want to show you right here actually is the Power Tuner app. So this is a cool little app that you get on your cell phone for free when you get a 19 plus Yamaha, or 18 if you get a 450. You can change the mapping to your taste, so you can have power up high, down low. You can kind of move it around and find somewhere where you like. If you put aftermarket pipe on there or something like that, you can just kind of customize it, which is cool. I mean, it's free and it's just another feature on your dirt bike. It's pretty awesome, and it's modern day technology. It's pretty sweet. Also, you can this is probably my favorite part about it personally. I flip bikes a lot. Any of you guys that are on the channel know that you can see the hours on the bike in the app, and as far as I know, there's no way to cheat that. So there probably is, but I doubt 99% of people that ride these things would know it. So you can if you're going to buy one used, you can actually just pull out your cell phone, grab the app real quick, and connect to the bike, and you can see how many hours are on it, so people can't lie to you about how many hours it's been ridden. I think that's freaking awesome. Also, you can track your maintenance logs, so if you ride a lot, sometimes it's hard to remember the last time you changed the oil. Some people do it every ride, but come on, most of us aren't loaded with money like that. So if you're trying to keep a record of when's the last time you changed your oil, how many hours ago it was, you don't have to worry about any of it because it does it automatically for you, and you can actually increment when you want it to alert you to do an oil change, which is the times you see on the right. So it's pretty cool. So some of the cons on this bike. The first con, typical Yamaha, it's wide. It's more narrow than previous generations of Yamahas, but it's still wide. It's still really wide, and it still bows your legs out away from the gas tank, which when you're cornering is just kind of, it's just weird to put it down in a corner. You got to push down with your arms versus like any other bike. You just kind of, here I am sitting at my desk like you guys can see me. You push your knee into the shroud and it just kind of rolls in. It still does that, but it doesn't give you the same sensation as it, like on a Honda. You almost feel like you're driving it with your legs. You do need to put more into the bike, more input for your corners because it's wide, which actually was my next con. It requires a lot of input for the corners, so kind of goes hand in hand. They should take notes and change the whole gas tank shroud design. I don't know why they haven't done that yet, because people have been griping about it for years, but I almost think that that's part of what makes it such a vet friendly bike, is because it's wide and it makes it feel more stable. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. If you're trying to go pro, you don't see a lot of people on Yamahas, and I kind of think that might be why. So something to keep in mind. You can still go fast on these bikes, don't get me wrong, but it's just personal preference, and a lot of people like it, the gas tank to be thin, so it feels like it goes into the corners more. Another con I would say is the clutch is weak. I do a clutch on it every 20 to 30 hours, which maybe is normal for a lot of people, but I'm not really a clutch user. Like on a 4-stroke, 2-stroke, I beat the crap out of them, but on a 4-stroke, I keep my finger on it in case I'm about to stall in the corner, but I try not to touch it because it stands the bike up. So I'm not like a heavy clutch user, and I still feel like I go through them, or they get weak. I shouldn't say go through them. They get weak pretty quick. I did one on this bike in 28 hours is when I put the new clutch in. So yeah, that's a negative. And then brakes. I was on a Husky 2-stroke before this, so maybe I'm just being picky because I was on Brembos. They suck. These brakes on the Yamaha just suck. Upgrade to something aftermarket. I need to do it. I haven't done it, but I need to do it. It kills your confidence going into corners quick sometimes. Like or you'll lock it up because you're not on it enough, so you pull it in hard and then it just locks. I don't know. They're not great. It's still better than anything, 10 years ago. Well, besides maybe Honda, but yeah, they're just not great. I'm not a fan of the brakes. So if you're looking to buy a new 250F, it's hard to go wrong with the Yamaha. The only bike I would consider besides the Yamaha, personally, in the 250F class is a KTM. And both of the bikes, Yamaha's got the torque like a bigger bike, and KTM is just, it revs like a two-stroke. Well, not like a two-stroke, but it revs high. It makes you, you can ride it almost like you would ride like maybe a 125 or something. So it's preference. You guys need to be careful when you're watching these MXA reviews. They're saying one bike's better than the other bike, blah, blah, blah. They all do different things better than other bikes, and really the only way to get the bike that's right for you, in my personal opinion, is to hop on each one and, ride them. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this whole review. It takes a long time to make these videos and put them together, so I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and maybe subscribe if you enjoyed it. If not, at least leave a comment on why you didn't. And also, while you're here, you might as well comment and talk to the community on what you dislike or like about the 2019 YZ250F or 2020 YZ250F, and let people know like why they should or shouldn't buy it. Because when I'm shopping for a new bike, I read through YouTube comments a lot, and you might help make up someone's mind. So be a part of the community. Our sport is awesome, but it is a niche sport these days, and unfortunately I would say that it's on the decline sometimes. That's my opinion. We won't go into that, but anyways, I appreciate you guys watching, and thank you so much. Have a great day.